All right, y'all, here's the video notes for the pre-quiz 1.5, which is about solving inequalities and graphing them. So for every one of these, we're going to have a graph. We're going to start with number 1 and number 2 here. But it's solved just like equalities, right? It's solved just like equations. So that means simplify and or move stuff over to each side of the equation to make it work. And on number 1, we just have a couple of x's here. So negative 3x plus 2x is negative 1x, less than or equal to 6. Now, if you had me in class, I talked about how if we look at 2 is less than 3, and we times both of those by a negative number, just negative 1, what you'll see here is negative 2 and negative 3, and what happens is the sign, to be a true statement, flips. And therefore, anytime you divide by negative, which would be the next step here, you get x, you get negative 6, you need to flip that sign. Okay? And as long as the letter is on the left side, you can just go the direction that the arrow is pointing. It is pointing that way. That means that my graph, when I start at, I'll put negative 6 in the middle, is going to be shaded in that direction. Okay? So I'm following the arrow. Now we got to think about, we got to put something on this negative 6 too. Okay? And here's the simple solution. If it is less than or greater than, it's an open circle. If it is less than or greater to, or greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, you guys do that and then I just go do it, or greater than or equal to, it is a closed circle. A way that sometimes I help students remember this is if it takes more ink to draw the sign, it takes more ink to draw the line, right? So this here has an equal sign, so it needs to include that point. I'm going to circle it in. Again, my shading goes to the right because that's the direction of the arrow. Think of numbers that are greater than negative 6. It would be to the right, okay? Number 2. I'm going to combine my like terms first. And this is, forget about this negative 6n. That's a term by itself. This is 3 minus 4. And that is negative 1. Minus 6n is less than 17. You could have rewritten this as negative 6n minus 1 is less than 17. It doesn't matter if you write it in this order or in this order, as long as you have your negatives in the right place. Now again, what would I do to solve this if it was an equal sign? I would just add 1 to both sides. I get negative 6n is less than 18. Divide by negative 6. To get n and negative 3, and again, because I am dividing by a negative, I'm going to flip that sign, right? Okay. Now, with that being said, I go to graph negative 3 in the middle. I know that it is just a simply greater than, and we said that that's an open circle, so open circle there. And it is pointing that way. Again, as long as the letter's on the left side, maybe you want to write that down. If the letter is on the left side, you just go the direction of the arrow. Now, I know a lot of you can say greater than means I go to the right. And that would be correct too. But another way to remember it is whichever way the direction of the arrow is going, that's the way you shade, as long as the letter's on the left side. Okay? All right, so what I want to do is make you a little uncomfortable and do number 6 and put the letter on the other side. So on number 6 here, okay, I've got, first things first, I need to distribute this negative 7 into both of those. So I'm going to put the work here for number 6. 7 minus 7x, because a negative times a positive, and then here a negative times a negative gives me a positive 49, greater than negative 4 plus 5x. I'm going to combine my like terms. I'm going to do this kind of fast here. 4 plus, 5x. And I always like my x to be positive, so I'm going to move this 7x over. You could have minus 56 or plus 4 or minus 5x to both sides, however you want to do that. But I'm going to add 7x because I like to have my x's be positive. And so I get to, that's just a greater than, negative 4 plus 12x. I would add 4 to get that to the other side. I get 60 is greater than 12x, and I would divide to get 5 is greater than x. Now, I know I've got to have 5 in the middle, so let me go graph this, put 5 in the middle. I know it's got to be an open circle, but now the letter is on the right side. So if it's on the left side, we go the direction of the arrow. So if it's on the right side, you just go the opposite direction. Or rewrite this. If I flip the x and the 5 around to make it a true statement, it must be pointing at x and opening up to 5. So pointing at x and opening up to 5. Now I can see, oh, I just go the direction of the arrow. Now, if you read this out loud, it's a little confusing because 5 is greater than x. It makes you think you have to shade towards greater. But if you read it in the terms of x is less than 5, oh yeah, then that means the number is to the left, right? Again, if the variable's on the left side, go the direction of the arrow, okay? All right, last one I'm going to go over, and then I'm going to have you try a few. Number 10, I'm going to combine like terms. This x plus 3x is 4x. This negative 8 and plus 2, remember minuses are negatives if I just zip-zapped it, right? Negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6, less than distribute a little bit here. I got negative 48x plus 42 because a negative times a positive gives me negative. Negative times negative is positive. Plus 32x minus 8. Combine some like terms here. 4x minus 6 less than, let's see, that's a negative 16x and a plus 34. I'm going to make my x positive by moving it over to the other side. I get 20x minus 6 less than 34. Of course, adding 6 here, I get 20x less than 40. And of course, I divide. And I do not flip the sign because I'm not dividing by a negative. Oops, I almost did it anyway. X is less than 2. Put 2 here, open circle, shaded to your left. Okay, again, because the variable's on the left side, I go the direction of the arrow. Okay, pause it a second. Try number 5 and number 9. Okay, pause it a second. Those are the two problems I'm going to have you come back. I'm going to put number 5 right here, and I'm going to put number 9 right here. So pause it a second. Try number 5. Try number 9. Okay, you can see number 5 there, and you can see number 9 there. Go ahead and pause it. Try those problems. All right, on number 5, this negative means just distribute that negative, which really is a negative 1. So it's going to be negative 2 minus 2y minus 2 is greater than or equal to 6. Combine my like terms, a negative 2 minus 2, and you can plug that right into your calculator that way. Negative 2 minus 2 gives you negative 4. Right, now I've got to do the opposite of the number to both sides, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Negative 2y, oh, I see a negative there. I'm going to have to divide both sides by a negative here. Make sure you're paying attention to signs and stuff. In class today, I kind of, oh, you couldn't see much of that when I was doing it, sorry. In class today, I kind of messed around and put a 2 here and then went from there. And it took a few minutes before people called me out on it. But sometimes I like to do that. Less than or equal to negative 5. Again, because we divided by a negative, I have to flip the sign. And I'm going to put, what, negative 5 here. And it's got to be a closed circle because it has a less than or equal to. And sometimes you just forget that symbol. I've seen that before too. Letters on the left, shade the direction of the arrow, which is saying that way, so I need it to go that way. Okay. All right, last one, number 9. I'm going to distribute here on number 9 first. I'm going to write it up here as 5x minus 42 minus 7x greater than 4x plus 12. Combine these two terms here to give me negative 2x minus 42. And then like everything else, I'm going to make my x positive, so I'm going to move it to that side. Again, you can move, if you wanted to add 42 first or minus the 4x over here, however you like to work that. Just remember the minus stayed attached to that 42. 6x plus 12. Do the opposite of the number, of course. I get negative 54 is greater than 6x, and I would divide to get negative 9 is greater than x. Yes, I know that's negative, but I did not divide a negative to both sides, so I don't flip that sign. Now again, maybe you want to rewrite this as, okay, it's pointing to x, opening, point to x, opening to negative 9. Okay, now I know that when I go to graph this, I can put negative 9 here, open circle, shaded the direction of the arrow. Or again, you don't have to rewrite it. You can leave it like that. That's the answer. And just remember that when x is on the right side, I go the opposite direction of the arrow. Okay? Because x is less than negative 9. That's how you would read that. Okay? All right, so that's that. You are to do this Reteach 1.5 as homework. You'll be having some class time to work on this too before you take this quiz. So if you were not here today, you will do this Retake 1.5 as part of your homework. And then you will check out the next video to fill in the notes for that section before you have to work on the next assignment.